Hey guys, what's up? How are you doing? In this session, let us discuss about JSON, JavaScript object notation. Why JSON? What is JSON? What is the structure of JSON? Data types, comments. What is JSON path? Everything you need to know about JSON in order to work in SailPoint identity now, right? So you might have observed that SailPoint identity now represent all its objects in JSON. Whereas SailPoint Identity IQ, the objects are represented in XML format. So the data representation are, for objects, the older version, the old technologies, they were using XML only. Okay, so this JSON started. It's not a lot of years it's been, but since the old technologies, they didn't adapt to the latest technologies, our latest data representation protocol, so it took some time. For example, if you work in any SAP applications, you see this XML based. If you take web services, what type of web services you will be using, SOAP based or REST based. So the SOAP and REST, those are the two type of API calls we use. Okay, SOAP is the old one, and its architectural style. When I was going for Java interviews almost 10 years back, I used to read this SOAP versus REST. So the SOAP one was used for all the old technologies, and SOAP uses XML based. What is a protocol? It's a set of instructions to communicate between two parties, right? So what is mean by communication? Nothing but data. I'm talking to you, nothing but I'm giving you some data. Now you need to understand whatever I'm telling you. You will process that data, right? So in what format the data was processed in SOAP-based protocols? XML. So whichever products were using SOAP-based APIs, of course they will be using XML. Example, SAP products. SailPoint Identity IQ didn't use anything to do with SOAP, but still they represented their objects in XML only. I worked in Microsoft Identity Manager. Even there, it represents its objects in XML. ForgeRock identity management product. I haven't seen access management, but identity management product I worked on. Yeah, the data is represented in JSON, not XML. Yeah, SailPoint Identity IQ, they should have considered JSON when they develop the product, but you know the story, right? Sun Identity Manager, the Java, the one who developed Java, Sun Microsystems. So they developed this identity management product, access management product as well under the Sun Microsystem uh, branding, right? So I don't remember exactly the year Oracle acquired Sun Microsystems. I think it was in 2015, 14, around that time. You can check in Google. So Oracle acquired Sun Microsystems. If you remember, we used to have the certifications, Sun Certified Java Programmer, SCJP. I was preparing for that when I started my career. Later, after 1 year, when I was about to give the certification, then it's already changed their name, Oracle Certified Java Programmer. So Oracle took this identity management product, access management product. They renamed it Oracle IAM or Oracle Identity Manager OIM, Oracle Access Manager OAM. Then the team, right, who were there in Sun Microsystems. I'm not sure exactly. I have heard these stories, but anyway, some people went to Oracle. It seems some people started SailPoint development. Some people started uh, ForgeRock. SailPoint, of course, headquartered and started in US, only founded in US, whereas ForgeRock, they founded in Norway, Oslo, Norway capital. Then they moved to US. They made their headquarters as US. So now the company is US based, not Norway based. So I'm not sure exactly if Fortran and SailPoint started same time. I really don't know. Yeah, I'm not interested in that history even. I'm just giving you some information which I know. So if in case if they would have started same time, maybe SailPoint Identity IQ should have considered JSON, but they didn't. And moreover, I have some friends and colleagues who worked in this Sun Identity Manager. This is like the same open source framework in Sun IDM. It's used in SailPoint. A lot of things I see same as in Sun IDM in SailPoint Identity, right? So anyway, that's the story there. But if you see the data representation in ForgeRock, it's JSON. Microsoft Identity Manager, it's XML. All the old products, Microsoft Identity Manager is very old. Okay, that is using, still it's there. It's not dead yet. It is using XML. Okay, but the latest products, you take any product, any technology that is, handling the data in the current market or current world, it's JSON. If they are using XML, I don't know why they are considering it. It's because it's already dead technology. Okay, so before going through why JSON, what is JSON, let us understand why you need some data representations in the first place. Okay, so let's talk about a little bit about programming, how this all started. So there was a program called ALP. I think it's still used. Not sure. ALP means assembly language programming. Yeah, in my engineering, I did this microcontrollers and microprocessors and microcontrollers. I did the coding on this microcontroller 8086 something processor. I don't remember exactly, but 8081 or 86 something. I've written that registries, inputs, addition, all that stuff. And then it started this from microcontroller to processors in a computer, right? Then there is a programming called basic computer programming language, nothing but in shortcut BCPL. Then later they renamed it to simple, instead of basic computer, they just changed it to computer language something. So it's only started as C language. So I call it as ABC. The programming started like that. So C language, everything we used to write, every logic, there was no libraries much or classes or nothing was there. Then an advanced version of C++ came. In C++, OOPS started. OOPS, object-oriented programming structure. This changed the world landscape. If there was no OOPS, I don't think world would have been in this way. Definitely uh, better or not, that's a different question, but in a different dimension world would have been. Okay, so in this OOPS, the world started representing everything as an object. Everything you take, living or non-living, is an object. Every object has properties, characteristics, a lot of stuff. Okay, so since we are into identity world, identity and access management, every day we deal with identities. Yeah, applications, that's a different stuff, but our main focus is identity. An identity to be created, identity data to be managed, and access should be given to the identity. Everything is identity centric. That's why we are IAM professionals, right? Identity and access management professionals. So let's take an identity object. What are the properties of an identity? What are the properties of an employee? Employee will have a name, employee ID, email ID, location, department, mobile number, managers, lot of properties an identity object will have. So now, how can I give all this data when I'm, communicating from one place to another place? For instead of giving this name, employee ID, email properties separately, we enclose them as a one object. Okay, so this object, we how you're gonna represent in IAQ, we used to represent as XML. So how we used to write entry key equal to name. What is the employee name? Let's say Tom Cruise. This is one entry. Like this, you are gonna write lot of properties. That's how we managed in identity IQ using XML format. Whereas in identity now we use JSON. The JSON, the data is represented in curly braces. We write key value. Right, so now we are going to have all these properties as a single object, and we are going to convey this or process this single object. And it is an input, we are going to parse it properly, create the object properly, and give it to the respective applications or whatever the second party you are working on. When it is coming as an output, you are going to read it, you are going to parse it. Right, so that is how it works. That is the reason behind enclosing it as an object. So instead of sending this each property one by one, it's difficult to process that request as well. So we will process or we will send this all property enclosed as a single object, and we are gonna handle it. Okay, so this is why you need the data representations. Some notations you need. Earlier XML, now JSON. Whatever the protocol I mean not protocol, sorry, whatever the data representation, whether it is XML or JSON or in future whatever it is, the reason is this only simple. I don't wanna send each and every property one by one or all the properties included in the request. Okay, instead of that I'm gonna send it as an object, a simple object which contains all the properties. Once this object is received at the target end, they are going to open this object and see all the properties. Okay, so example is if you order something from Amazon, I order Amazon groceries, they'll instead of they sending me each and every item I ordered, they'll give me as a big box which contains every item I ordered. It's easy for them to ship, right? And at the delivery side also, it's easy for them to carry and give it to the address. The same thing here as well. Okay, now let us look at why the JSON. What is JSON, when JSON started, all that stuff let us discuss. As I said, all the software applications need to exchange data between client and server. Sometimes I feel like we are in some world, the virtual world, which seems to be not realistic to me sometimes. Yeah, we are storing some data in a binary format, stored in some silicon chips. Of course, all our computers are nothing but silicon chips only, right? Everything is a computer, server, whatever the name you call it as. So end of the day, we are gonna give the information or we are gonna get that information. How this data is processed in between. If you need more servers, because a lot of people are requesting for that, or if you have more data, it needs a lot of storage. That's where this cloud has come into the picture, or DevOps to manage all these servers, all that stuff. So end of the day, if you take it simple, data exchange, that's it, nothing else. So XML was used to exchange the data between 2 points of codes. So as I said, we consider everything as an object. So that object is a single item which contains the properties or all the properties you are gonna share with. Then in early 2000, JSON was introduced as an alternative data format for information exchange. XML takes a bit more data. Okay, I consider it as a heavyweight object as well. It takes more storage compared to JSON. Yeah, XML is heavyweight. JSON is bit less. So what is JSON? Stands for JavaScript Object Notation. It's a lightweight data interchange format. It's easy for humans to read and write. XML is not that easy. Of course, if you say that yeah, you are an expert, so it's easy for you to understand. But when I started in SailPoint, before that, when I was working in IBM products, I was not reading this much XML objects because I was not looking at, or I didn't have a choice even. The product was not giving us data like that in XML. Little information we used to see in XML, it was not that much. When I started working in SailPoint Identity IQ, it was little confusing for me as well because I have seen lot of data represented in XML. Inside that, the Java or I mean the Bean shell script is embedded. Yeah, it's a bit little confusing as well. Then, yeah, of course, yeah, they say that it's easy for machines to parse and generate the JSON ones. I agree with this because I've written programming reading XML data or generating it as an XML for Microsoft Identity Manager using PowerShell. Yeah, oh my God, I faced lot of complexities in handling this. Yeah, JSON is way better. So it's based on JavaScript programming language standard ECMA from December 1999. That's what they say. Nothing to worry about, or I don't care about this at all because what are we gonna gain with this knowing the history when it is started, all this stuff? It's not that much required, guys. I don't worry about things that much. If I start keep learning, have infinite things to learn, maybe this life is not enough. So I just focus on what I need. I'm gonna filter it out. I mean, I'm gonna ignore whatever I don't need. Okay. So this JSON is completely language independent because it doesn't care about which language you are working on. Any language you can handle JSON. Even .NET you can use JSON. Not a problem. Okay. These properties makes JSON ideal data interchange language. Since this is a platform independent or programming independent, uh, any language you can. I've used JSON in JavaScript, of course in Java, Python, .NET. Yeah, I've worked in these languages, so it's a bit easy. We have out of the box methods as well to convert a string to JSON object to string. So yeah, it's easy. Out of the box methods are there. Even if you don't have methods, it's not that simple to split the data or parse the data. Okay, XML it's a bit heavy. So finally, how you are gonna save this JSON file? Yeah, you need this extension .json. Okay, what is JSON structure? How it looks like? So as I have shown you a little bit about JSON, the keys it's just some nothing but key value pair. If you are already a programmer, or at least if you are from SailPoint Identity IQ, you know the data represented in Identity IQ in XML, nothing but key value pairs. In entry key equal to attribute name or property name and value is what is the value of that attribute for that user, right? Or if you know a little bit about Java, you know about hash map, tree map. So map is nothing but key value pairs. JSON is nothing but key value pair. Okay, the key and value must be separated using colon. Key colon value. You can write n number of properties like that. There can be multiple key value pairs, of course. It's an object which have lot of properties. So it will have multiple key value pairs, and each key value pair is separated with comma. Okay, so no comments are allowed in JSON data. So comments plays very important role in any programming language or any data representations, right? It's very important. But unfortunately or fortunately, both the sides there are reasons. JSON does not support comments. There is some reason. We'll discuss about that. Next, a collection of key value pairs is enclosed in curly braces. Okay, and a collection of ordered list of key value pairs separated by comma, enclosed by a pair of square brackets. Nothing but it's a JSON array. Okay, uh, I'll show you some example data so that it's easy for you to understand. So as the name indicates, JavaScript object notation. Obviously, you might think that it came from JavaScript. Sometimes people, even I was thinking that maybe it's only for JavaScript programming language, but it's not. In fact, JavaScript started as a scripting language, not a programming language. Python is older than Java, but Java was popular, but today Python is popular. So, yeah, mm, based on JavaScript syntax, this JSON has started. It looks close to JavaScript. What are the data types in JSON? I mean, what kind of data you represent? It's not a lot. Number 1, 2, 3 is that. Floating points also you can define, which is also a number. I'm not telling here it as integer, right? Integer, double, short. I'm not telling about that. It's a number. Any number you can represent. String of codes, boolean, true or false you can represent. Array is supported. Or an object also you can write object or array. You will see the examples. Null finally, yes, you can use a null notation as well. This is an example of a JSON object. So as we have seen the JSON structure, the data is enclosed in curly braces. Okay, when you are writing any JSON object, start with a curly brace and end with a curly brace. Inside that, you are gonna write the properties with key value pairs. The keys should be unique. You cannot have duplicate key. It is not allowed. Okay, and values, of course, it can be anything. That doesn't need to be unique. Doesn't make sense even, right? So, but the keys, for example, here I have used a name. I cannot use again the same key here. Maybe you are a little bit confused about this. Why not? In case if you are, I am telling about this object is an identity object, and that identity name is Tom Cruise. What if I have another name here as Tony Stark? Again, one more name as Captain America. What is the name of this identity? Tom Cruise, Captain America, or Tony Stark, or something else? It's an ambiguity, right? You don't know. That's why it is not supported. Keys should be unique. That is the reason. There is one property of that type. I mean, if you are taking name, it should be only one property. Do you have more than one name? Yeah, if you might have more than one name, but we will represent it as a different keys. For example, your name or display name. I'll call your name as display name. You have a nickname. Yeah, we use nickname as the attribute name, not a display name. You wanted to call you in a different way, or I mean different name. Yeah, we use the attribute name preferred name. So display name is their first name, last name, middle name, preferred name, nickname. We use different attributes. not a same attribute. So the key should be unique. Okay. And if you see the name of the employee, and the value is of string data type, so it is enclosed with double quotes. By default, keys, all the keys are double quotes, strings only, so it should be enclosed in double quotes. There is no other data type you can use it as a key. Of course, it's a string. Okay, so the values, it can be any data type. So the Tom Cruise, since it is a string, so it is represented in double quotes. Whereas ID, it's a unique identifier, it's a string type. I don't think you can use that as a number. It's a very big number. We have never used. If you want, you can try. Okay. Next, role, it's a user access. User can have multiple accesses, right? So it's an array. That's why the data is represented in rectangular braces. Next, age, it's a number, so don't, so cool. Start date, if you are a programmer, you might be thinking that, yeah, date object should have been there, but it is not, you know. So we represent it as a string. Next, end dates. Uh, since there is no end date, I mean, let's say you are a permanent employee, full-time and permanent employee, not a contractor, then you will not have any end date, right? So that's why it is null. Next attribute is contingent. Contingent worker we call actually. Contingent means, are you a if you are a contractor, contingent is true. Since this is a full-time permanent employee, that's why there's no end date. So contingent is false. So you can write true or false like this. Do not, I think, yeah, I missed a double comma here. My mistake. I should add a comma here. Next, address. I mean, before going address, true or false, do not enclose them in double quotes. If you enclose them, it's a string. Whatever you are writing inside double quotes, it's a string. Do not put true or false in double quotes. Okay. Next, address. Again, this is an object. I mentioned about array and object, right? So this is an array, whereas address, it's an object. Why this is an array? Why not an object? Why this is an object, not an array? Because if you see, this is the attribute name and these are the values, more than one value. Whereas here for address, it's a key. This is a property or attribute, however you want to call that. But inside that, again, we have key value pairs. So this is another JSON object. Okay, that's why here in value we are writing it as an object. Okay, so this is how you are gonna write a JSON. If you are from, if you know any programming language, the array is represented in uh, curly braces, right? But in JSON, do not think curly brace as a array. Don't think that. In Java, mostly if you are from Java background or even .NET, no problem. So the array are represented in curly braces. So in array, how you are gonna write inside array curly braces, you are gonna write data in double quotes separated with comma. Same here as well. So we are separating with comma, but a different notation. All the properties written inside curly braces. So this curly braces, this is one item, one JSON object or one JSON item. Okay. So if you have more than one item, similar items, we write inside curly rectangular braces. Okay. So this is one employee separated with comma, and this is another employee. Okay, so this each employee data is enclosed in curly braces. Each of employee data is separated with comma, of course. Each key value pair is separated with comma, and this is one employee data is enclosed in this curly braces, comma. Next object starts here. So all these objects are inside this rectangular braces. Next, coming to the comments. There is no support of comments in JSON. So this is what the Douglas Crockford, who developed this JSON, who introduced this JSON, that's what he's telling. I saw people were using them to hold parsing directives. Parsing directives means instructions, how you can parse this data. So they were writing this comment as, you need to parse this data like this. Some instructions they used to mention. Based on that instructions, they used to parse this JSON object in a different way by using custom coding, not out of the box way. but instead they were using some custom coding based on this uh, parsing instructions. That would have destroyed interoperability. Then you will ask them, whenever whenever we get the JSON object, we never ask anyone how should I parse this data, because it's a universal not protocol, universal data representation, right? We never ask them. Instead, if they keep giving these directives or the instructions, let's say that for example they have added a comment here as I have written the data in, let's say they'll write instead of id, they'll write it, the uh, key as data. Okay, let me show you that in a notepad. So as I mentioned, you need to start the JSON object representation using curly braces. Inside these curly braces, yeah, give a tab, keep it as key value pair. So name Tom Cruise, comma, employee ID 12345, comma, location, say US. Okay, so these are the three properties I have defined for this employee. You can define a number of properties like that. So now instead of that, I can write like this as well. Data, or I'll write it as employee data. Okay, so then in double quotes, so here I'm gonna write this all records. I cannot write again double quotes, so I'm gonna remove that. Name Tom Cruise, comma, employee ID colon 12345, comma, location is US. Yeah, this is also same, right? I mean, the representation is not the same. It looks a bit weird as well. Lot difference, but the data is same. You set this as an employee data, and it has name, employee ID, location properties. Whereas if you take employee data, here you take this key and value, key and value. Now they will write some comment here. So here they are gonna write the comment as employee data contains this, the key employee data contains employee information split with each property is split with comma, and you can differentiate attribute name and value using colon. So now I'm gonna read this object. I'm gonna take this employee data value, and then I'm gonna split with comma first, and then again I'm gonna split with colon and take the first property, or first zero index is the attribute name, first index is value. That's a customization. That kind of instructions you can write in the comments, how you can parse this data. Then if you keep going, that some people will say that instead of colon they will write it as a hyphen. Some people will write something else. Some people will say that instead of single quote go with double quote, sorry, single comma go with double comma to split the data. All this nonsense, it's going to make us difficult to parse the data. Then it's not going to be universal data representation, right? It's going to be local. Everyone uses in a different way. Then once you get this data, you are going to ask them, how should I understand this data? That's why he commented that, I mean, the Douglas Crockford, who is the who has found this JSON notation, he said, yeah, I don't want this to happen. I want this to be universal object representation or data representation for all the objects. So I'm not gonna allow the comment. So he removed it. That's what they claim. Where for me it's not a big deal. XML or JSON, it's not that different to me, right? So different representation. I haven't learned anything about JSON. I started using it. So it's not no big deal to me. If you are removing comments, it's okay, dude. I am not bothered about it much. If it has comments, still I'm not bothered about that much. We'll use how it is. That's it. Okay. So that's why comments are not there, unlike any other notations or programming languages, where comments plays a very big role. But here in JSON, you do not have comments. Remember this. This is a problem since we do not have comments in JSON. Uh, some problem is there. I'll explain that when time comes. But you can write comments still as like this, or if you say the actual notation underscore comments. This is employee data. So this underscore comments you can represent as a comment, and it will consider it as a another property. It's not like a comment. So generally, if you take Java, how you are gonna write the comment using double slash, or if it is a multiple lines, then you are gonna enclose this code in uh, slash star and ends with star slash. If it is PowerShell, you use hash, right? Even Python they uses this slash only. Okay, so that is the notation for comments. But in JSON, you do not have any such notations. Instead, still, if you want to have the comments, then you can use this as a key, written like this underscore comments, so that people can understand that it's a comment, but of no use. Okay, I even don't know how the comment notation was earlier. Something like hash they used, or I don't know. Okay, so he removed the comments. I'm not sure when he removed even. However, there is a workaround. Add it as a key value pair like this. Comments. Okay. If you want, you can add them.